So I think I should set the expectations for you just so you know about it going into the book. After that first 20%, I really started enjoying the book. Hot damn, was that spicy.
Mom, look away.
The author kind of took a good thing and ran with it for hundreds of pages and repeated it over and over.
I'm at the vet for my annual visit for my dog Nikita, which is always a little bit more stressful because she's 13 years old, which is pretty advanced for a German Shepherd. So I'm a nervous mama right now. I think I'm gonna pick up my next book, which is gonna be a fun one, so it'll help keep my mind off things. I want to try reading my first reverse harem. If you're not familiar, a reverse harem is one girl having a sexual relationship with multiple men. So, Mom, look away. Co-workers, watch at your own risk. I don't know what I'm really expecting. I'm expecting some female empowerment. I'm expecting some drama. I'm expecting a lot of smut. I'm so excited. Please comment down below if you know of any books that have the reverse harem trope, because I am curious to research more. For this video though, I am going to be reading Den of Vipers. This seems to be the standard one that everyone knows about. It has about 55,000 ratings on GoodReads, so it's relatively well known. Although the ratings aren't that great, so I don't know what I'm in for with this particular book. I'm going to be reading it on my Kindle though, obviously. That's kind of why I'm holding it. I'm not just holding it because it's pretty. Although it is, isn't it? Before I crack this bad boy open though, please be sure that you are subscribed to the channel and also like this video, because every time someone likes this video, a homeless puppy gets adopted. Okay, maybe don't fact check that one, but please do it anyways because it really helps me out and gets my videos in front of other book lovers. All right, let's see what reverse harems are all about. Look at this Nikita glitter all over my pants. I didn't choose the German Shepherd life. The German Shepherd life chose me. All right, time to get started with the book. Open the Kindle. There she is. Den of Vipers. Interesting. So this seems to have like a mafia vibe to it. But what I think is so interesting is like this first section right here. The loser would sell his own daughter to cover his debt to us. I suppose when you don't have the money to pay, the only other option is to take it from your flesh. I mean, I don't know. If someone owes me money, don't burden me with your family members as payment. I don't want that. Even if you look at this from the perspective of the men, like, okay, you can get some ass, but how is that going to upgrade your car or put you in a mansion or pay your bills? I don't know. I'd hold out for the cash, bro. Were you good, Nikita? Were you a good girl for your appointment? Did you get a lollipop for being a good girl?
Now it's Sunday morning, and while I'm sitting here drinking my coffee, I thought I would update you on my reading progress. By the way, look at my bookish mug. Isn't that so cute? I am 55% of the way into the book now, and for the first 20%, I was not having a good time. So I think I should set the expectations for you just so you know about it going into the book. I mentioned that this is kind of a mafia romance trope, so I think you need to take your feminism and your whole concept of common sense and throw it out the window. Trust me, you'll be a lot happier if you just suspend all expectations for those two things. The whole plot is based around these 4 mafia brothers who are owed a debt from this man. This man doesn't have the money to pay them, so he sells them his daughter, who is a grown-ass 24-year-old business owner. It was this whole concept of we own you now, we could do whatever we want with you, that really just drove me crazy because you can't own a person like that. It's not like she was working off her father's debt by like cleaning or being a personal assistant or anything like that. They just owned her as their prisoner. That whole prisoner aspect is really what drove me crazy at first. So let's run with this for a second. Roxy is the girl. She is 24 years old. She owns a bar. She is described to be 5'6". She has gray hair, which I think is so cool, dark eyes, and she is tatted up. She has a full sleeve, tattoos all over. She loves dark eye makeup and bright red lipstick. I'm really enjoying her style. She is sold to the Vipers crime family. They are 4 brothers, and I put that in air quotes because only 2 of them are actual blood brothers. The other 2 are kind of like adopted in. The book started out really confusing because it is from the point of view of Roxy and all 4 of the men. I have felt like 5 POVs was really chaotic at first. I didn't understand the difference between all the brothers. They were kind of just this like blob in my mind, so differentiating them was really tough at first. In the first 20% of the book, I was really going back and forth if I liked Roxy. Firstly, she's a badass. I love the way she holds her own, both in the words she uses and in just generally kicking ass. But when she was kidnapped, probably understandably so, she was very emotionally driven, not very intelligent. She was so focused on escaping, but not realizing that she's in like a penthouse skyrise. And also, I'm just thinking, what are you gonna do with yourself after you escape? They own the city. It's not like you can just go back to running your bar and they're gonna forget all about it. So again, it was specifically that prisoner kidnapping section in the beginning that was kind of annoying me. It's a good thing that didn't last long though. After that first 20%, I really started enjoying the book, and that was the part where I didn't want to put it down and I pretty much spent all of Saturday reading. This is also where our characters started getting a lot more depth. I am really enjoying learning more about them, their different specific kinks, also what makes them monsters. Everybody has a tragic backstory and I'm loving learning about theirs. It seems like there is a hit out on our 4 Vipers, and Roxy is kind of caught up in the middle of it. Every time Roxy shows how smart she is, how well connected she is, how strong she is, I am swooning. I really love this. Of course, the smut is in full force because Roxy is hooking up with all 4 of the brothers. They really each have their own identity, so I can see why she's interested in each of them. There is no jealousy among the men, which seems probably like the biggest fairy tale out of this whole book. And it might be a little bit harder for me to believe that 4 men can share 1 woman. That might even be a bigger fairy tale than the whole owning a person aspect. But who cares? I am really enjoying how they keep saying Roxy is their woman and only theirs. No man can look at her, no other man can touch her. I don't normally like a possessive male, but this is kind of working for me. Today I'm gonna spend most of my time doing some gardening and yard work outside while the weather is nice. So I can't continue Den of Vipers this morning, so I'm gonna put in an audiobook, and maybe when I'm finished I'll have some time to lay out by the pool with my Kindle. Going into the second half of the book, I really love the relationship between the 4 brothers and Roxy, so I'm excited to see that progress. I am also really interested to see how these badass mafia men take down the people trying to kill them. Background vocals provided by this little one. I'm dog sitting, and yeah, that's my life. I really think this qualifies as my first official dark romance because I cannot think of any romance book that is darker than what I just read. I finished Den of Vipers and hot damn was that spicy. Let's kick off this portion of the review in talking about the reverse harem aspect, because that's really what this video is about and why you're here. Then I have some thoughts on the mafia romance elements and some other thoughts on just the writing style and the book overall in general. As I mentioned, Roxy's harem are her 4 mafia kidnappers. So she develops a relationship with all of them. And holy shit, does homegirl have some endurance to keep up with these 4 men. Like, do you ever just put on sweatpants and watch 90 Day Fiancé? And how she got 4 men to fall in love with her when I was on the dating apps, I could barely get a text back. So she's got some game. The thing that bothered me most wasn't the whole reverse harem aspect, it was really the blurred lines of consent in the beginning. You could probably assume there was some Stockholm syndrome going on here where she is falling for her captors, but the first time she hooks up with one of them, it just felt a little too rapey for my comfort level. Afterwards, Roxy made it very clear that while she was screaming at him, saying she hated him and trying to run away from him, she didn't technically say the word no. So by this book's definition, that was consensual. That part gave me the ick more than anything. Being in Roxy's head during the evolution of her Stockholm syndrome was also pretty corny. Just the descriptions of how I hate these guys so much because they're imprisoning me, but look at his thick thighs and muscular abs. I'm kind of attracted to him and want to sleep with him as well. I don't think that element was written very well. I think it should have been more focusing on her being attracted to their power and their confidence. I think being attracted to them physically just because of their muscles, kind of superficial and just made the whole thing really corny. The dynamics of the harem worked surprisingly well. I mentioned I was surprised and impressed that there was no jealousy among the men, and they really had their own identities. So the chemistry between Roxy and each of the men was very believable and sexy as hell. Going into this book, I was really expecting some drama with the harem. I thought that they would be fighting amongst each other and fighting for her attentions, and I was happy to see that none of that existed in this storyline. That brings me to some of my overall opinions of the book, and that was, first and foremost, this book is 654 pages, and it did not need to be. I already mentioned why I didn't enjoy the first 20% of the book, but the last 20 to 25% of the book really had no plot. It was just dragging on the sexual relationship, all the different combinations Roxy could have sex with these men, the different locations they would have sex, and the different foreign objects that went into her body. As sexy as it was in the beginning, when it is just repeated over and over and over, I really checked out because there was no other plot. I did talk about the storyline where there was a hit on the Vipers and someone was trying to take them out. Roxy was kind of getting brought in the middle of this. And so that storyline was good. That was kind of in the middle. There was lots of action, lots of violence. And I think it's kind of implied that this book is violent because these are 4 mafia men, but I should probably say that it is very graphic, very gory, very violent. So if you don't like the idea of reading a book where they're torturing people, cutting someone open and hanging him by his intestines, then this might not be the book for you. I mean, if you're triggered for anything, definitely look it up for this book because the sex that they're having with Roxy is not sweet, passionate lovemaking. In the second half of the book, Roxy really finds her identity as one of the Vipers, and I really enjoyed her whole character. She could protect herself in fights, she could withstand torture, she could negotiate deals. She was awesome. In terms of the writing, there were 2 things that really grated on my nerves. Firstly, when the men are talking to each other, they seem to have the need to call each other brother in every single line. Don't worry, brother, we'll find out who's trying to kill us. Great, brother, I know that you'll torture them and make them pay. No problem, brother, we are family after all. And make sure no one looks at our woman, brother. It was just too much. This book also makes me want to add something to my list for things I hate the most in books, and that is calling the female character any kind of woodland creature. One of the men called Roxy his little bird, and it just creeps me out. I don't know if it's because it makes me think of Snow White with all her woodland creatures, and therefore makes me think of children, and therefore makes me feel like he's a pedophile. I don't know really the behind the scenes why my mind works this way, but I really don't like him calling her little bird. In the writing, I also really didn't enjoy the almost preachy aspect that was, again, repeated over and over and over. This concept of loving yourself despite your darkness. There were lots of corny lines around this, and it might have been better if you weren't beaten over the head with it this entire time. Along with that preaching repetition and the repetition of all the sex and varying combinations, the other theme that was repeated over and over, especially in the last 20%, was Roxy realizing that her kidnappers are now her family and they are her home. I would have enjoyed this book a lot more if it was condensed from the 650 pages down to maybe like about 400. I would be reading a part that was 5 stars, amazing, so good, but then the author kind of took a good thing and ran with it for hundreds of pages and repeated it over and over until I was just so sick of it. In summary, the book Den of Vipers was just okay, mostly due to it being repetitive and overdone. But the reverse harem aspect, I loved. I definitely want more of that. So please comment down below if you can think of anything. I also really want to check out more dark romances. So please comment down below with one of your favorites because I want to check out more after reading this. Thank you so much for tagging along with me while I read my first reverse harem and actually my first dark romance. I will catch you in the next video.